New PLO lesson. I know a lot of players, like, it's not always easy to find a great game with fish, with whales. I would say more players than not are kind of similar type of game. They're pretty tight, like rocks. They're pretty nitty and conservative. You know, they don't, a lot of them don't even raise great hands pre-flop if they're deep, in order to not create a high variance game. And it's much easier to proceed and get to showdown throughout the hand if you don't raise pre-flop. If you just limp all your hands, you are very polarized, which is good, and you can get to showdown with aces because you don't have to, spend, the pot is not big and you don't have to call so many bets to get to showdown. The downfall is you don't make a lot when you do hit your hand and have not raised pre-flop and built a pot for yourself. In addition, if the people at the table are as the way I'm explaining, nits, or whatever you want to call them, rocks, you do want to apply pressure. You do want to take a small ball type of game put in effect and just continue applying pressure. And that's the lesson I want to give for today, is that you have to be very careful, because when you apply pressure and when you play a looser type of game, it's very easy to disregard and make mistakes. You can get trapped. So although you are applying pressure, you're playing looser and many more hands than you would in a tight game, many more hands than you would play in a loose game, I mean, you have to be careful not to forget of how to play post flop. Not to go overboard with a hand just because they're tight and you want to apply pressure, because nits and rocks, if they don't have it, they're gonna fold. You have to be careful, because it's always a double-edged sword with whatever you do. There isn't one correct way. For every action, there's a reaction. There's something you can do against it to exploit it. So you gotta keep in mind of your game too, of what you prefer doing, how you are comfortable in playing. But what I was trying to say is, be careful not to get trapped. I know you've been firing, you've been betting a lot, raising pre-flop a lot, and you've been winning a lot of small pots. But it's important to know, to still have control over yourself and not to go nuts and become a maniac and become so loose that you cannot pull back and be tight. And most importantly, you will be winning a lot of small pots, but most importantly is to make sure you don't lose the big pot, because then it can take away all the work you've been putting in and take away all the proceeds, all the profit that you've been taking in from the small pots. So when the nit and rocks call, you know, you raise pre-flop, you know, of course you want to raise equitable hands. Then on the flop, you know, I would be like semi-bluffing. You always have to have some kind of equity, you know, and play correct post flop. Like bet on the flop, you know, figure out a bet that you're comfortable with, a third, a half, 2/3, you know, to take down my big majority of the pots. You want to stay camouflage with your bets, so like kind of the same, so they don't know when you have a great hand and a bad hand. But then if they call the flop, okay, now knowing the type of player that they are, now you could put them on a range, you know, and proceed carefully from there. Perhaps, you know, you want to play in position and take the free card, and you know, it's nothing wrong to give up and lose a pre-flop raise and a c-bet when you've been taking down so many small pots. You don't want to 3-barrel and get cold, because now you lost a big one, and it's very, very difficult to get your money back from these nits rocks. So good luck, stay safe, fucking coronavirus, peace.